For our conservation project, we chose to research coastal sand dunes. Coastal sand dunes are small ridges or hills of sand found at the top of beaches, typically reaching heights above the maximum reach of the waves. Beach dunes consist of the foredune, this angled side which faces the ocean, the sand plain at the top of the dune, and the back dune, the angled side that faces away from the ocean. Sand dunes are created when wind deposits sand on top of each other until a small mound starts to form. These newfound mounds of sand are usually built up from wind-blown sand that is deposited against an obstruction such as a bush, driftwood, or rock. This allows for the first mounds to form and for the sand to pile up on the inward side more and more until the edge of the dune collapses under its own weight. If vegetation such as marram grass and sand couch begins to grow on the dunes, this allows for the roots to help bind the sand together and stabilize the structure. These sand dunes serve as a vital role in providing a home for many species in these coastal ecosystems, along with acting as a natural barrier and helping slow down the deterioration of our shoreline. Sand dunes are a strong and durable buffer against coastal flooding for many communities. Although these coastal sand dunes provide a plethora of benefits, over the years people have started to dismantle the dunes in order to use this land to build homes, construct hotels, and create many other opportunities for profit. The dunes play a vital role in protecting our coast, and that is why we believe a more significant effort needs to be made in order to conserve them.
Coastal dune preservation is an important topic to research because these sand dunes play a vital role in the lives of many species who live on the coast. Some animals and insects that are typically seen living in sand dunes located along the coast include snakes, foxes, owls, lizards, beetles, moths, wasps, flies, crickets, spiders, and a variety of shorebirds and vegetation. Some of the shorebird species that you would typically see on a New England beach include common and least terns, piping plovers, and American oystercatchers. Dune vegetation provides secluded, quiet areas for birds to lay their eggs and raise their young. Some of the common plant species you would typically see rooted in sand dunes along the coasts of New England include American beach grass, American dune grass, beach pea, blackgrass, coastal panic grass, and so many more. Plants that thrive on the foredune must be tolerant to salt spray, strong winds, and burial by blowing/accumulating sand. Plants which thrive on the broad dune plain and back dune grow together into dense patches termed dune mats that hold the dunes together. The beach grass that is typically seen in these sand dunes provide integrity and strength to their structure. Native dune grasses and vegetation have incredibly deep roots that develop over time, and the roots are good at binding loose piles of sand into a sturdy natural seawall.
All the species of shorebirds that were previously listed, excluding the American oystercatcher, are currently endangered due to the presence of humans along the beaches. The sand dunes provide a major nesting site for these bird species. By people invading these wildlife protected areas and walking on erosion-sensitive sand dunes, they are not only disrupting the nesting sites of an endangered species, but they're also running the risk of killing many plant species as well. If these plants are stepped on or damaged, it could weaken their roots and cause the sand to be loosened and blow away. There would be no cohesive material to hold the sand in place, and instead, every gust of wind and every wave would carry away sand and the dune likely disappear. Over time, this can cause the dunes to decrease in size and dwindle away, limiting their ability to serve as a natural line of defense against storm surges. Typically, beach grasses holds this natural barricade together and prevents much of the sand from being washed away into the ocean, limiting coastal erosion. But human interaction has slowly stripped the coasts of this benefit. And now we ask, why are the dunes at risk? The dunes are currently at risk from both human activities as well as natural weather. These human activities include building new infrastructures, including restaurants, hotels, parking lots, shops, and other new buildings that must be built on top of the dunes. Additionally, another human activity that causes a lot of issues for the dunes is people simply walking and trampling on them. Walking over any plant species will damage and even kill the plant, but even walking on a dune without stepping on any plants can cause damage. As you walk across the sand, each step compresses the sand and impacts the tiny microscopic organisms beneath the surface. This harms the microorganisms, causing them to in turn impact the vegetation, creating a whole system of issues. Additionally, natural weather such as flooding from rising sea levels can submerge the dunes in water, killing many plants and animal habitats. This form of damage is not nearly as severe as the damage from human activities, though. It is our job to act now and conserve the dunes, as it provides not only a home to many different species, but it acts as a guard against coastal erosion and flooding. Conserving coastal dunes is a very urgent problem. As the human population grows, more and more dunes are being destroyed for new buildings. For example, in Plum Island Beach on the North Shore of Mass, the beach is losing an average of over 4 feet a year, and this erosion is only accelerating faster now. As the beach and dunes erode, the neighborhoods behind the dunes become more vulnerable to flooding. Shrinking dunes and rising sea levels could put the open ocean at the doorstep of residential homes.
There are a few solutions to preserving coastal dunes. The first is implementing fencing around the dunes. Fencing can serve to keep people off fragile dunes and beach grass by designating paths to cross the dunes. The most effective method is to use wood fencing and chicken wire to set up boundaries that people cannot cross to trample the dunes. Next, many have created boardwalks above or on the dunes that allow people to cross the dunes to get to the beaches without trampling the dunes. Another conservation effort is planting native coastal dune plants in areas that have been destroyed. It is important to ensure that you are planting native species that already exist in the dunes. Additionally, we can also increase education about why coastal dunes are so important. Many people don't understand why there are signs telling them to keep off the dune or why there are fences that limit beach access. In an article in the National Wildlife Conservation blog, Todd Scotland said it best. Educating your friends and neighbors about the importance and fragility of dunes helps ensure people transpiring over the dunes won't lead to the demise of one of nature's best defenses against a surging ocean. Lastly, practice re-nourishment is another way to help preserve the dunes. By bringing in new sand to the dunes, it helps build up the dune profile, ensuring it stays strong.
The likely outcome of this conservation issue is in the fate of human society. There are simple fixes to preserve the dunes. However, it will take an effort from everyone who goes to the beach to help protect them. It is very hard for many companies who are driven by money to understand why they should not build new buildings on a dune. However, we believe that with the continued education and pressure from concerned citizens, that the dunes can be saved.